I stole prescription drugs from everyone I knew for years. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some recent r/confessions posted on Reddit. I stole prescription drugs from everyone I knew for years. I'm currently in my mid-20s but am still haunted by some things I did from about age 14 to 18. During that time period, I stole prescription drugs from anyone and everyone I knew, including my parents, both sets of grandparents, my two closest friends, and even random people whose houses I was visiting. My favorites were opiates, but I'd take whatever would get me high, add meds, sleeping pills, cold medicine, whatever. During this time period I was a fully functional teenager, got good grades, etc. I only got caught once by my mom, but she believed me when I made up some lie about it being the first and last time. I managed to stop sometime during my freshman year of college, but mostly because living in a dorm I had less access to adult people's meds. Since then, I've been slowly feeling more guilty about it, and am concerned I never received any treatment for a drug addiction that could someday flare up again. I'm still way too aware of what meds people are on for what, but at least I'm proud of myself for not taking any of my fiance's ad meds the whole time we have been together. Still, I live in fear of what may happen if one of us is ever prescribed opiates for an injury or surgery and the temptation gets at me. I was never addicted bad enough to have any but the mildest physical withdrawal, but the psychological addiction persists and I still occasionally have dreams about getting high. I recently reconnected with an old friend I used to steal from a lot, and she was talking about being in recovery for alcoholism, and I almost confessed about my old addiction. But I'm just too ashamed to ever tell anyone I stole from them, not to mention it could ruin my career if this ever came out. This stealing was all 10 years ago at this point, but I sometimes still think about it, so just wanted to confess. I bullied a girl who was just trying to be my friend. When I was younger, I used to go to a school that had a quite small amount of students. One of such students used to be a girl that people in there used to make fun of, based on her appearance. They were relentless and very cruel with her. She also seemed to want to be friends with me, and initially I tried to be her friend too. But once my other peers and classmates noticed that, they would start bullying me by mere association. Now, I will admit that the thought of rejection is something that has always bothered me. Being cast aside is horrible and it always destroys what little self-confidence I may have. When I saw my peers mocking me, treating me badly for hanging out with her, I felt like I was being rejected, left as a dirty aside no one should come close to even seeing with their eyes. All on the basis of me being friendly with her. As a result, I decided I would not be cast aside by joining in the cruelty. Whenever she would try to approach me I would insult her, repeat and hurl all the insults my peers had used so often on her before. I would even be physically aggressive to fend her off, especially when I was trying to be making friends with my other classmates. I would hit her and kick her. The poor girl would end up bawling by the end of it, not only because she was being bullied but because what could have been a friend amongst a sea of hate, just turned into yet another nightmare. The most shameful thing about it is that, at the time, I felt justified in my vitriol towards her. How dare she make me look like a fool, how dare she make people laugh at me? How dare she make me inferior? It's her fault for being annoying, and ugly and she deserves it all anyway. I am in the right, she is wrong. That type of psychotic behavior and treatment most likely prompted her to change schools. After that, I haven't seen her once again. Even 13 years after the fact. And for a while, I didn't feel any guilt. But as I have gotten older, I have come to realize just how horrible those actions were. I understand now how being under the destructive influence of people in such a way can have long-lasting consequences. All those comments about her appearance, her personality and such caused harm then, and it is very possible they continued to do so way after that. And I was a part of that. I contributed, deliberately, over the course of an entire year, to the destruction of a poor girl who had not done anything wrong to us. She hadn't done anything wrong to me. She wanted to be friends. She was being nice. And I rejected that in the cruelest way imaginable. What is funny, is that I ended up being outcast anyway after she left. I became the annoying person no one wanted to talk to and I was bullied too. And apparently it was bad enough that I can't even remember it, I only know because my mother told me I was terrorized by this kid. I genuinely can't even remember that happened. To be completely honest, I deserved it. Getting back all the pain I caused was completely fair retribution. A piece of shit like me would deserve that, and sometimes I feel that I should be treated like that again, with the benefit that I am now gonna be more likely to remember all of it, so I don't ever come close to doing it again. Yes, the guilt is eating me alive, which I suppose is very good, actually, but it isn't enough. I deserve to get back all the harm I did. What I did was wrong on every sense of the word, and there's no coming back from it. There's no escaping from what I deserve. I abused my son physically and emotionally, and will never forgive myself. I had perfect childhood, my parents were amazing people, we had a comfortable lifestyle, and yet, I still got into drugs and alcohol. I did cocaine, heroin, and, later on, weed. I drank constantly, and chain smoked like there was no tomorrow. When I was a teenager, I ran away under the guise of my parents being unfair and met a wonderful man in New Mexico, who I would later have my son with. In 1966, I had our son. I wasn't married to the father of my son, and so, in such a year in time, I was able to run away from him and raise our son with limited money and limited knowledge of how to be a mother. I sold my body, and only delved further into the land of drugs and alcoholism. My son was born on drugs, and didn't know any different than to watch his mother pass out on the couch, naked. I had a horribly short temper, and as my son got older, I began to hit him out of pure frustration. When he was a baby, I neglected him severely, and it was a wonder he survived infancy. Now, I would smack him, punch him, kick him, call him names, deprive him of food and water. My boyfriends did horrendous things to him that cannot be stated here, but you guys can fill in the blanks. My son was scared physically and emotionally, and it was all my fault. Eventually, his father managed to get custody, which was quite a feat in itself, and took him into the States on a visa. I remained in an unfamiliar place filled with people whose language I couldn't speak, drifting in and out of prison, drugged up beyond belief. My son got into drugs badly, and will forever carry the memories of the abuse and other unspeakable horrors. I tried to get into contact with him and his father back in the 80s, but neither of them reciprocated. My son called me a miserable bitch and refused to speak with me. His father didn't say much, but didn't want to associate with me, and brought up countless good points regarding myself and my habits. Now, I'm sober after a few months in rehab, and married happily. My son appears to be sober, and is a semi-successful guitarist who seems to live a happy life. His father is doing well, too. But I will never get rid of the guilt, nor will I ever move on. I hope that sharing this helps me, and maybe assuages the guilt, if only a little bit. I am a failure of a person. When I was 17, I was at this concert and there was this girl in front of me. I kind of lightly pushed out so my pelvis was on her ass. That lasted a few seconds and then I snapped out of it. Yeah, really fucked up. Like a year later I found out that was sexual assault, and rightfully I felt like shit about it since. Shit keeps me up at night every night. I deserve that though, so I am not complaining. I saw a post here the other day from that guy who assaulted someone. Some comments there were making me think, I'm permanently a shit person now. Someone said once you do something like that, you're a predator and there's no going back. I deserve the rope really changed my perspective, even though normally I wouldn't give a fuck about what someone on Reddit says. So I have to wonder, what's the point of anything now? I'm a horrible person, irredeemable, so like I don't really see the point of living. I would end it, but I'm not gonna traumatize my mom and family. Also, that isn't real justice. If I got arrested and put to death it would be, but doing it myself isn't right. I can't make up for it, but I've been trying to be more of a women's rights advocate. I was feminist at the time too, but didn't really put much thought into that kind of stuff, but I'm a fraud when I say anything. I would donate to abuse orgs but they wouldn't want my money, and I'm a bum teenager in college with no job. Obviously can't apologize to her, and I wouldn't anyways because that's self-serving. Should I turn myself in? I don't think the statute of limitations has passed yet. I'm not sure what the punishment is because I was a minor at the time, but I assume prison still? Which is fine, I'd probably get what I deserve in there. I'd still be a bad person, but at least some justice would be served. Anyways, wish I could go back and undo that, prevent myself from harming that girl. No one deserves shit like that, and it's fucked that women go through it all the time, and a lot of people don't care. I've been groped before, but it's not the same as a guy, at least for me. Not all guys are the same, and I shoulda known that just because I wasn't affected by it, women aren't. Anyways, yeah. I don't know how to end this. Not trying to make myself feel better, do not think that I am. Hope that girl can still live a good life. I know I don't deserve to. If there's anyone reading this who gropes/harasses/assaults people like that, stop. That shit is not okay. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.